Hello children, here I am with my next tutorial on The Tiger King, written by Ramaswamy Iyer Krishnamurthy, the author with a pen name Kalki. He was a Tamil writer, journalist, poet, critic and an Indian independence activist. Before I begin, I would like you all to have a look on the screen where you can find some facts related to hunting of tigers. Now, if you look at this slide which contains examples of tiger hunting, you will find that tiger hunting is something that has been going on from the past. So when we talk of Rome, if you remember certain movies where you have watched Greece or some such country being depicted, so we had seen certain clippings where the source of entertainment for the people were the fights that took place between the beasts, the lions and the tigers fighting each other and getting injured, and people cheering them up and having fun, without being bothered that the fun is actually injuring and harming the animals. Also, there have been certain movies where they depicted the heroism of the main character. So there were fights between the hero and certain ferocious animal. Okay, so this shows the mentality of human beings towards animals, where for the sake of their entertainment, they were never bothered that they were sacrificing the life of the animal. Then when you talk of India, in India, tiger hunting became famous when Akbar the Great ruled India. So it was very possible that when he was the king, the only thing was the king is happy, the king is sad, no matter what, they can go and hunt animals. This was what prevailed. So today the king is quite happy, so what to do? Let's go and hunt. Today the king is sad and upset, so just to change the mood, let's go and hunt. So it began from Akbar, and then even when the British started ruling India, lot of tiger hunting continued at that time too. Again, the same thing highlighted, that people were least bothered about animals, and just for their entertainment, their change of mood, they were ready to sacrifice the animals. Talking of China, in China too, it was the same thing. They killed the animals, and whoever killed the animal, or the tiger especially, was considered to be a hero because he had safeguarded the society. And then another reason for which the tigers started being killed in China was that they discovered that there were body parts of tiger that could be used in medicines. So that was another reason for which the tiger hunting continued. So all these examples depict a very common thinking of the humankind, that they actually think themselves to be so superior that for them the animal's life or an animal's life doesn't hold any importance. So they just consider the animals to be another being which is not so important to exist on earth, and that is why very easily the human beings could kill the animals and kill the tigers and lions. Okay, so this is, and when we look at these examples, this also gives us an idea why the tigers have decreased, because this hunting continued. The tigers existed, the hunting continued, the numbers went on reducing, and then we came to a state where we started shouting that, oh my goodness, the tigers are going to get extinct, so we need to do something about it. Okay, so this is somewhere the history that is related to tiger killing. And even in this story, we find that the same notion, human beings considering the value of animals or tigers or lions or whatever it is to be worthless, and that is why they could easily kill it. And so somewhere we are left to think, if you could connect it from what you read in class 11, the ailing planet, where it stated that human beings also are just mere beings that exist on this earth with so many other species. So we need to understand that we have to give importance to these animals. Now, these facts will further help you understand that the story The Tiger King is a satire on the pride and stubbornness of those in power. The writer takes us to the days of autocratic and eccentric kings. These kings lived under the rule of British, and hence they feared them. Also, these rulers were not interested in serving the people and working for the public welfare. Rather, they spent their time in foolish pursuits, flouted all laws, and bent them to suit their selfish interests. The story also turns out to be a good mix of supernatural element, humor, and irony. The author introduces the protagonist of the story, the king of Pratibandhapuram. This king has been given many titles to emphasize his greatness, but summing up all the titles, he is referred as Tiger King. Further, the author tries to build up the curiosity of the readers on 3 specific points. He makes a mention of Stokely Bomber and says that he is so determined to make his readers understand why the king was called Tiger King, that no threat of any kind or even a Stokely bomber will be able to prevent him from doing so. The second point that he mentions brings out the fact that whoever reads about the Tiger King is tempted to meet him, but unfortunately they can't because he is already dead. The third aspect that he has highlighted was that the manner of the king's death was a matter of extraordinary interest, and this entire story revolves around this. The author further continues by saying that when the king was born, the astrologers foretold that he would grow up to be a warrior of warriors and hero of heroes. But one day he would meet his death. At that very moment, a miracle took place, and the baby prince, who was only 10 days old, began to speak loudly and clearly, questioning the astrologers. He uttered that death was a universal truth, which required no prediction. This sentence goes as a mockery on the part of the astrologers, as their prediction of death was meaningless. The king further continued that he wanted to know the manner of his death. The chief astrologer then declared that since he was born in the hour of bull, and the bull and the tiger were enemies, thus the reason of his death would be a tiger. Listening to this, the baby prince was not at all scared. Rather, he warned the tigers to be safe and beware of him. Now, this part of the story talks about the influence of English culture on the crown princes of the time when the kings were under the rule of the British. The crown prince Jangjang Bahadur, or Tiger King, grew taller and stronger. He drank the milk of an English cow, was looked after by an English nanny, tutored in English by an Englishman, and saw nothing but English movies. He was crowned the king at the age of 20. But people in his kingdom continued to discuss the astrologer's prediction, and so the king went on a tiger hunt and killed his first tiger. He showed the dead beast to the astrologer, but the astrologer again warned the king that the prophecy was true. He further elaborated that the king would succeed in killing 99 tigers, but the 100th one would be fatal for him. Here, a condition was placed that if the king would succeed in killing the 100th tiger also, the astrologer promised to cut off his tuft of hair, burn all his astrology books, and become an insurance agent. Now began the tiger killing spree. The Maharaja banned tiger hunting in his kingdom. He issued a proclamation that if anyone dared to even throw a stone at a tiger, all his wealth and property will be confiscated. Further, the incidents that took place, through those incidents, the author displays the foolishness of our eccentric king. In order to prove the prediction wrong, the Maharaja vowed to attend all the other matters of his kingdom only after killing 100 tigers. In this quest, the Maharaja faced many dangers, and once the bullet missed its mark and the tiger leapt upon him, and the Maharaja fought the beast with his bare hand. But every time the tiger and the Maharaja were face to face, it was the Maharaja who won. In another incident, a high-ranking British officer visited Pratibandhapuram with a wish to hunt tigers. But the Maharaja refused permission to this officer too. He was of the opinion that if he agrees to one such request, other British officers would also turn up. Though the Maharaja strictly denied the British officer, but the consequence of this denial was that he stood in danger of losing his kingdom. He had discussions with his Diwan, and as per the plan, he sent 50 diamond rings to British officer's wife. The Maharaja had thought that the lady will choose 1 or 2 rings, but on the contrary, the greedy lady kept the entire lot with her and sent a thank you note to the Maharaja. The Maharaja was happy with the fact that though he had to lose 3 lakh rupees, but he had managed to save his kingdom. The author, through this example, highlights the malpractice of giving a bribe, which is morally wrong, but the Maharaja never cared for the same. The Maharaja had been successful and was moving closer to his ambition. He had been able to kill 70 tigers, and as a result, tigers became extinct in Pratibandhapuram. Now, here the author displays a good example of satire. he talks about the decrease or extinction of tigers in Pratibandhapuram by bringing in humor when he says that maybe the tigers practiced birth control activities and did not produce offsprings, or maybe they committed harakiri or suicide. It could also be that they ran away from Pratibandhapuram because they did not want to be killed by an Indian. Rather, they wanted to be killed by a British. Now, the Maharaja came up with an idea. He called up the Diwan and ordered him to find a princess of a royal family in any other native state with a large tiger population. The Diwan was successful in finding the right girl. The Maharaja married her, and then each time he visited his father-in-law, he killed 5 or 6 tigers till 99 tiger skins adorned his palace wall. Now he was falling short of just 1 tiger. All through the day and night, the Maharaja kept on dreaming of killing the 100th tiger. By this time, the tiger population in his father-in-law's kingdom had also finished, and the Maharaja grew desperate for the last tiger. He was also reminded of the late astrologer's words that he was supposed to be very careful with the 100th tiger. Even the king himself approved of the fact that the tigers were uncontrolled animals, so he should be cautious of them. But he felt that finding tiger at that moment was turning out to be a tedious task. And again, the author brings in humor when he says that finding tiger milk was easier than finding a tiger. But suddenly came a good news that sheep had begun disappearing from a hillside in his own state. Maharaja announced a 3-year exemption from all taxes for that village and set out to meet his ambition. He spent many days in the forest but didn't meet his target. Now he lost his patience and in his fury made the rash decision of doubling up the taxes. Also, many officers lost their job. The Diwan warned the Maharaja that his decision could prove to be a fatal one for the entire kingdom. The Maharaja became more outraged and told the Diwan to resign. Now the Diwan went home thinking of a solution for this grave problem. And the moment he reached home, he took a sigh of relief on seeing a tiger that had been brought from the People's Park in Madras and was hidden in his house. At night, as per the plan, the Diwan and his wife dragged the tiger to the car and pushed it into the seat. The Diwan drove the car to the forest. Now, the tiger refused to come out of the car, and the Diwan had a tough time, but somehow he was able to leave the tiger in the forest. In the morning, the Maharaja was delighted to see the tiger, took careful aim and shot the beast. The tiger fell down in a heap. The Maharaja proudly ordered the tiger to be brought to the capital in a grand procession. After the Maharaja left, the hunters accompanying him were shocked to see that the tiger was alive as the bullet had missed the mark and the tiger had fainted. Now, these minions, scared of losing their job, killed the tiger themselves and carried the tiger to the capital, where it was buried and a tomb was erected over it. Wait, this is not the end. The Maharaja, after this remarkable feat, turned his attention to his child. He went for shopping to buy a gift for his third birthday and spotted a wooden tiger and bought it for his son. The wooden tiger was carved by an unskilled carpenter, and thus a tiny sliver pierced the Maharaja's right hand. Though the Maharaja managed to pull it out, but by the next day, the infection spread in his hand. In 4 days, it became a deep wound and spread all over his arm. 3 famous surgeons from Madras operated on him, declaring that the operation was successful, but the Maharaja was dead. In this way, the 100th tiger took its revenge, and the prediction of the astrologer turns out to be true.